Again in studio. This time, what me would do if me would live in Africa. Of course, in Africa, it's not simple. Wherever you look, it's not simple. The farming, of course, is very important. And if you know English, you are extremely, extremely well. But of course, in Africa, there are also other language, and that's not simple. The Africa with tools 100% is not simple because people do not understand tools. You see some tools and you don't know what is that in social or in different state, and you don't know what it is. You all days walk around, work and walk and work and work around Africa, and you do not know what to do if you see tools that's very, very complex. So there is also mythology about any tools or what humans see on the screen. Maybe some sort of religion, what humans see on the screen. And of course, the tools are extremely, extremely difficult. Also, in any language. The English, of course, it's not always very social, but sometimes also unsocial. But of course, for some American style and the UK style, also very, very simple. The science, of course, is very related to English, and it's not easy to understand Africa. Living in Africa is very, very complex. And if you think about any revolution, about any type of technology, you are 100% wrong because there is agriculture and extremely farming. And it's not easy about the civilizations in Africa. If me would live in Africa today, for sure, the information psychology would be something to work on. That's very, very important. But of course, for the humans also to lose some fats. To lose some fats, that's actually very, very important. But the problem with the humans, they also want fat. Sometimes the female, which is extremely, extremely strange. Probably it's not easy in Africa with food, but if you have extra information, you can survive. Imagine that you could only survive with that type of information in Africa. You see, now the information or the movie about information, it's not more simple, and without information, people might die. And that's a problem. The evolution, of course, it's not easy and 100% unrelated to anything genetic. And there are also different diets there are people taking, which are 100% unhealthy, especially women or some vegans are taking some diets and 100% unhealthy and do not take any diets. At least that's how me see that type of forum. To build the packaging food in Africa, of course, it's not easy if you have a huge charity organization, and it's not easy to think about Africa. If me would live in Africa, that would not be easy. There are also different type of fossils, and also to have a pure face for everyone in Africa is 100% not simple because the weather is extremely, extremely weird. To have a progression with any style, it is very, very difficult if you do not have any tools. Maybe for a 5%, but not more. Of course, there is also the inflation. The inflation that humans have or the inflation that civilization have is extremely big. Probably the civilizations appeared a million years ago, but of course, we do not know everything about that. The poverty do not know any type of astronomy or any type of coins, but of course, with developing the information, also the coins become possible, and there are different centralized authority that are controlling the coins. The Africa, it's not simple, And the Africa, of course, need more information, but not always more information. Sometimes also the psychology. The psychology, how to solve the living system of Africa and all those type of organs and the skin cells and different type of biomolecules that are in Africa, all those forms of items are not simple. And when you think about bigger picture about Africa, it's not that simple without tools. The tools are actually the code, and that's some sort of holy grail in the psychology of the entire planet. But of course, if you live on the Africa or on different forums of Africa, you must also think about the plants. The plants and the animals are not easy sector of psychology, and of course also partly related to medicine, but also medicine testing. The information about medicine, it's 100% not simple and related to Taoism. It's not easy to do tools for any type of biometrics or also for biochemistry that humans have with other animals or other boys. Of course, it is not easy to think that people a million years ago were still monkeys. And of course, a lot of doctors would think that humans were always humans, but that's not correct because a million years ago, or maybe 2 million years ago, the humans were 100% monkey. So here is also psychology, what human really is. Psychologists are all different, and you have the psychologist for animals, psychologist for plants, psychologist for humans, psychologist for monkeys, and psychologists for metabolism. There are also psychology about different cells and how to apply the cell science to a better skin and making better skin products for the models. The skin is actually very important, and you must have a very good skin, but that's unrelated to biology. But sometimes it's also good to observe a little bit of biology and little bit of science for a good plants and a good psychology, and also good tools so you get a very good photo of your skin. It is not easy to build nutrition if you are in a sport, but to go more physical is actually chemical sometimes if there is love, and that's a huge problem. Having any type of behavior about information, it's extremely difficult to explain anything, especially if you are explaining with science. To know the science, it's not easy. And if we look on Africa, the Africa would actually need more science. There are also different rituals in Africa. And how to build a better Africa without disease, that's 100% extremely complex. And it's also very important to have a lot of water. But of course, that is the product Honesty is Power, and it's the book of G. and Tony. It is not easy to understand the quality of book in life and hot and cold weather, also the wet and dry weather. It is very complex to understand all the medicine or how the medicine was actually developed. The medicine without law, maybe it's even better. And sometimes the law is also necessary if you are using drugs. It is very understand. You must understand the environment in Africa if you want to improve anything. And without the information, that would be 100% just guessing. But with information, you can become more psychology, and also with some will, you can actually build some simple forums in life. It is not easy to build simple association to help Africa or even to build better category in Africa, or the human psychology. You must know that if you want humans with more water in body, you actually need a little bit of biology knowledge, which is actually very difficult. Of course, you also must apply more collaborative ways. For example, you can actually start using simple YouTube or simple Vimeo blog just for inspiration or just for whatever you want to tell to other people about Africa. If in Africa the Vimeo blogs would function better, of course it would be possible to build much, much better Africa. It is not easy. It is not easy with Vimeo blog because Vimeo blog can actually help you also coding better and to see better tools. If people in Africa would have better tools, they could actually build better life. The tools are 100% not for everyone. You also have video editor, GIF maker, crop video, trim video, merge video, the text video, music video, watermark video, the sticker video, and the filter video, and the image to video. There are also different type of templates. You also have the commercials together with different tools and reviews, but also different type of trailers if you are making films. It is not easy in education also to use slideshows. Different forms of foundations are not easy, and if you want to improve Africa, you must also think about economists. It is not easy to think about science or the computers around the Africa because that's actually related to mathematics and of course the banking in science, but also related to the technology and technology brands. To making some sort of charity for Africa, it is actually not political, but it's more science and your goodwill. Sometimes some research is actually important, but to build science, that's not easy, and also the science development actually ends on some point. It is very important to build some sort of work, but not too much NASA and not too much extreme observations. Sometimes in Africa, of course, they also need science. It is not easy to build simple science about the Earth or observing the Earth from the moon or from the sun or from the space. It's very important to understand simple forms of the policy also for United States, also for Europe, also for Africa, and also for world. It's very important to understand the world. It's not mean to be fighting all the time, but it's mean to build also better Africa or where people struggle the most. To build better emotion and psychology, it's like you are building something with your partner, but of course, forget the partner if the partner is doing nothing well. There is probably also selection, and you must choose the better picture for your character and not pleasure. Sometimes it's also important if people are involved in charity, they are your partners. There, of course, are over 1 million partner theory, and that's some sort of psychology. It is not easy to see different opponents if you are developing Africa, but of course, everyone unite if you are developing Africa because there is almost no hope at all sometime. The water psychology is extremely, extremely difficult also in Africa. And if me would live in Africa, that would be extremely psychological thematics and different type of expressions also what me think about the Africa and how to develop it. Also to develop their emotions and different forms of classification for different type of technology or tools. It's not easy. In Africa, there are millions of cities, and of course, it's not easy to understand, and sometimes also some disgusting city. And some people are also very angry, and some are full of fear, and some people are full of happiness when something good happens there. But it's also not simple to understand people that have amusement or they are too centered, or they have some sort of desire or pain or sympathy or even shame or interest or pride. There is probably confusion if there are more poor areas about technology or what technology could do. The people that do not have a lot of access to computers, probably they could not think about the ledgers or different type of coding or different type of career or desire to build any type of technology career or work. And of course, the science or psychology should work on a basic emotions. In Africa, the experience of those emotions is very important. The emotions are also tense, nervous, stressed, upset, sad, depressed, bored, calm, relaxed, serene, centered, pleasant, happy, excited, alerty. It's actually very difficult to control any of those emotions, especially if people do not have tools, do not have virtue, do not have simple chi or energy. And it's extremely difficult to understand that type of psychology and that type of philosophy. The people in Africa might not understand the medicine well and also not the diagnosis. So it's very complex to build tools or the cure. And in 90% case, the simple Qigong would be completely well, but of course there is no mentors and the mentors are extremely, extremely complex and sometimes also overvalued, but on other time underpaid. So of course you also need some finance to build some sort of Taoism. It is not easy to understand the science in medicine, and if you want to prevent bad time or anything related to genetics problems, probably you should look more for more and more tools related to Feng Shui. Of course, the improving technology is also not easy because on the end there is a lot of natural technology and biomedicine technology. It is not easy to understand all forms of technology and all forms of healthcare. But of course, the informations can help. The informations can build better tools, the better observations, and better banking system to prevent very bad healthcare or extremism with doctors is also important. Maybe sometimes it's very important also to people to have some simple professional doctor that actually teach coding or teach simple solutions, not high solutions, or meditation or yoga. That's actually quite useful if you do not want to end with the doctors that have a lot of problems with community. But of course those doctors are not approved from Taoism. And there is actually, of course, very complex. What do you think about medicine? And what do you think that medicine is? The very important information collections are, of course, not simple. In Africa, it's not easy to understand what type of forums there are. The most valuable brands in Africa, of course, it's not Microends, but there are other brands that are very, very important. But in Africa, 100% people do not have very, very advanced technology. There is actually no technology at all in some city. The infrastructure in Africa do not support a lot of learning or cars or simple informations, but they also do not support platforms they have in America or in Europe. And there are different type of service that are not supported in Africa, but maybe in some days when other company will figure it out that it's actually better to open more for Africa and make people uh, more useful there and providing more work so people can also buy food and provide for their humans around them. Uh, Bigger companies, I hope so, they will also decide that that they will invest in Africa and build also the service there. Also, the Java, I hope, will come to Africa and Ruby, because those are beautiful language. And of course, if people could learn those language, they could also see that from those two language, you can also build anything. And of course, there is also programming and the method of how you see the information. And it's not easy to understand all those type of features or advanced protocols. But do not forget on simple Taoism. Do not forget on simple yoga. Do not forget on simple visual things. Do not forget on simple photos. Do not forget on simple women. Do not forget on simple men. Do not forget that we are made from monkeys. Do not forget that also science is important, but do not think that science could solve all the problems. Sometimes just yoga solves the problems and not other experts. You also need to know that humans need basic things like defense, security, and simple forms of water, and also purity. Without that, the evolution is not very, very good. But the good evolution is actually sometimes very important. It is very important also to build some policy for science so the science would not corrupt the world. Because that in some years actually happened. To build better leaders, of course, we could not do anything because people are deciding on their own way what they think is the best for the material world. The Africa, it's not just a program. The Africa is actually very simple where people live. In the Africa, there is not a lot of wealthy people. But of course, the innovation in Africa could actually build much better life. Maybe the Africa should also have more therapists. The therapists are, of course, not simple, and the therapist can actually find different issues, what people need. And they can actually also build more professionals and maybe more coders. The therapy for anything is available. Therapy for addiction, therapy for people, therapy for children, therapy for message, therapy for anything related to human, therapy for music, therapy for any type of occupation, therapy even for physical bodies, therapy also for psychology, and the therapy in yoga. The psychotherapists, they actually belong together with some sort of Taoism, but also together with psychology. But that is a must for healthy community. The healthy community is very important.